Okay. Hi, everybody. We are just chit-chatting here while we wait for everybody to join. So you can listen in as Stacy and I keep chatting. We're talking about the differences between LinkedIn and Twitter and some other social platforms. And Stacy was just asking me if we promoted this on Twitter as well. So you can all hear my answer, which is that yes, FMG did promote it on Twitter. I did not really promote it at all on any social platform. As you know, like I was just telling you, I have taken a break the last 2 weeks and have taken a self-imposed social media break the last 2 weeks, which I usually end up doing like once a year. And when I do it, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just like when I feel the need. So I don't know if we got a lot of traction on Twitter or not.
Yeah. Well, here, I will be the totally vulnerable, authentic one to say that the backstory of my question, by the way, is I said I was terrified of Twitter. And so now I'm like, sort of like listening. I don't know why maybe it's an irrational fear, but that's where I'm coming from.
No, somebody's asking if we started early. No, we did not start early. We're just letting you in on our green room chit chat here while we waited for everybody to sign on. So hello, welcome. Thank you for spending this Thursday afternoon or morning, depending on what part of the world you're in, with us. I am Samantha Russell, and I am joined by Stacy Havener. I'm saying your last name right?
Yes, you are. That's right.
And we are so thrilled to have Stacy joining us today because even though she's saying she's scared of Twitter, she, if you don't follow her already, is a marketing genius in so many ways. I love seeing what she's doing every day on LinkedIn. And she has so much to teach us about being your authentic self, how to have a personal brand, how to use stories to grow, to find your people, find your raving fans, as Stacy calls them. And so I have a ton of questions for her. We're going to learn from her today. And then we've also put together some great examples of advisors just like you who are out there nailing the social media game, really getting it right. And we're going to talk a lot about what does it look like to do it the wrong way and what does it look like to do it the right way. Because there can be a gray line in between those two things. And hopefully that will be, just really helpful to all of you. So while we are just waiting one more minute for everybody to sign on, tell us in the chat, we can all see and learn from each other today. So if you have something you want to share where we can all see it, put it in the chat. If you have a private question, maybe you're a little embarrassed, don't want to say it out loud, you can put that in the Q&A, and then only Stacy and I and Blair, who's behind the scenes helping to answer questions, will see it. But tell us in the chat, what social platform do you currently use the most and are you most comfortable with? Is it Instagram? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Twitter? Is there one that you're scared of but would love to try? Don't make Stacy feel bad by herself.
I know. Someone just said, what's Stacy's Twitter handle? I'm like, I'm not sure. I might be on there. It's okay to be real talk here with us today. That's the realm we operate in. And I don't know, you can give me a pep talk in the chat if you think I should go over to Twitter. Right now, I do not. It's like there's
a lot of changes happening at Twitter too. So now it's an awkward time to be joining.
Yeah.
I'm happy
just over in LinkedIn.
Yeah, for everybody's frame of reference, if you look in the chat, LinkedIn and Facebook is the most often cited ones that our audience, all of you advisors, tell us they use. And so really what we're going to be talking about today are those platforms that most of you are saying you're using. Oh. Instagram is definitely gaining in popularity, which we love to see. And also because the age of the type, we're all kind of shifting up these generations together and more people are using Instagram. So the good news is a lot of what we discuss though is going to apply to any social platform, but we are going to get kind of in the weeds on LinkedIn specifically since Stacy knows it so well. And we have some really great examples for you as well. So with that, I should start sharing my slides. I jumped ahead of myself. Again, the number one question of any webinar is always, will we get the recording in the slides? And yes, you will. So if you need to, take a call or you need to leave early, no big deal. We got you covered. And in the meantime, Blair is sharing in the chat Stacy and I's LinkedIn pages. So if you're not connected with us already, go ahead and follow, send a connection request. We'll talk about what the difference are of those in a minute. And then that way, you'll be able to, after today's talk, keep seeing our content, and hopefully you'll find it really helpful. So why advisors do social media wrong and how you can get it right, starting now. So for those of you I haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, I'm Samantha Russell, the Chief Evangelist here at FMG. There are my Twitter and LinkedIn handles. I am active on both, as well as my email. So planes, trains, automobiles, however you need to get in touch with me, you can do it. And I'd love to chat with you. I have been working for about 8 years now, specifically with financial advisors to help them grow through marketing. And previously, my husband and I co-founded a company called 20 over 10, which was acquired by FMG about 2 years ago, where we applied all of the same strategies I'm teaching today to grow our own business. So we know that they work, and I love working with all of you to teach you how to use them. Stacy, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. Okay. That was awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Stacy Havener. I am the founder and CEO of Havener Capital, which is also an agency, a sales and marketing agency that helps investment boutiques grow through the power of story. I've raised over $8 billion that has led to $30 billion in follow-on AUM for breakaways, startups, new funds, basically the underdogs in asset management. And on paper, none of that makes sense, right? Those firms shouldn't win. And in many ways, I shouldn't either. I'm a blue collar kid from a working class town. I'm a poet who paid her way through college and took a job on Wall Street so I could go get a PhD to become a professor. I never left.
How'd that work out?
Yeah, never left. Still here. I'm getting a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks. Turns out in an industry full of men who love numbers, there was a place for a girl who loves words, and standing for boutiques who really are the underdogs in this industry. It's more than a job for me. It's a passion, because in so many ways I am one, and I truly believe and know we can win.
Love that. Oh, so eloquent. Yeah. You can tell you're a poet. You have such a way with words.
Thank you.
All right, Stacy, why don't you kick us off with a story?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do a little storytelling here. So I've been thinking a lot about this idea of a portrait. And so I'm going to do a little old way, new way, which is a really cool framework for storytelling. So let's go back hundreds of years ago. People would maybe have their portraits painted by an artist. You know, this portrait would hang on a wall in a beautiful frame for the eyes of only a handful of people. You know, you'd invite them into your home and into this room where this portrait was on display, and they'd see it, and you'd be regal, maybe like really kind of perfect, looking like your point in time ideal self. And they'd think, wow, you know, wow. It's kind of flat and a little bit fake and cold, and it really creates this sense of separation. But now when I think about a portrait, it doesn't hang on a wall, it lives online, and you own it. You are the one who paints it. It's not for a handful of people to see because you invite them in. It's for everyone to see with a Google search, whether you want them to see it or not, whether you own that portrait with intention or not. And it's a point in time vision of your real self. It grows and evolves. It's a living, breathing thing. It's this brand of you. And if you do it right, it's authentic. It creates connection and trust. And one of the most powerful places to show this portrait is in social media. And as Samantha said, so many people are trying, which is awesome, maybe not doing it quite right, but worse is not doing anything at all. So we're on a mission to change that today. We're going to help you put a face, a heart, and a soul on your biz, because people do business with people. So I am just so thrilled to be here and dive in.
I love that so much, and keeping that really on the you know, in the back of your mind is with everything we talk about today, you know, that there's so much right now at stake with how we show up online, and being able to, have as much power as you can over what people find when they search you. One of the reasons I've, from the get-go was really, really adamant in helping people claim their social profiles and put things out there is because when somebody Googles you, you want the first few things that show up to be, profiles, pages, websites that you own and that you're in charge of the messaging. So let's talk a little bit about branding and the idea of personal versus company brands, because whenever we talk about social media, one of the first things people will ask is, what should we put on? Like, should we have a company page and a personal page? And what's the difference? What should we share on our personal page versus our company page? So you had this great chart, Stacy. Can you tell me a little bit about this?
Yeah, it's super interesting here. I think these stats really bring the story that we're talking about to life. And yes. So to Sam's question, yes, right? Yes. And you should have both a company page and a personal page. But what's interesting is look at the difference in followers between the founders of these companies and the companies themselves. That is a massive overwhelm in statistics here. So what does that say to us? What it says is, yes, you should have a company page where you are talking about ways you help and sharing helpful content and educating and inspiring. But the reality is, it kind of goes back to what we said at the outset, that people do business with people. And so you can't do business, you can't I can't call up FMG per se. I can call Sam and see how she is and see if she wants to get together and have this really great relationship with her. And then I associate all of the things that I know, love, like, trust, and admire about Samantha with FMG. That's what happens. That's why the personal brand is so powerful. And if you didn't have, if these founders didn't have their pages, they'd still have great followings, but look at the difference, the power of that personal brand. And I think we can talk more together, Sam, about what you can put on those pages, but I feel like these stats just really drive it home.
Yes, I love that. So just to give some more specifics, the first thing, yes, as Stacy mentioned, yes, you want to have both personal and business pages on whichever social platforms that you're going to go all in on. So if you're going to go all in on Instagram, I suggest having, your Instagram business page and your personal, LinkedIn, a personal and a business. And that's going to allow you to also, reshare, tag, drive attention to your business, even though one of the main takeaways should be that the individual account will always, always, always perform better than the business. I don't care how good your business account is. If you hire the best social media manager of all time, your personal page will perform better, because what Stacy said, people connect with people. We want to connect with the owner of the company, the face of the company, not the company itself, because the company itself isn't a person. It doesn't feel like you can have a connection with a company the way you can have a connection with a person. So in terms of what to do, you want to claim both, but then you really, really, I say this all the time, people still struggle with it, have a face for your brand, right? Stacy and I know the power of this. If, I've given another talk before where I've shown 6 faces of CEOs, and I'll say, who can identify these? Ooh. And 9 times out of 10, people can get 4 of them. And the 4 they get are the people that are the face of the business. Nobody ever can identify Nike CEO or Procter & Gamble CEO, even though they're 2 of the largest companies, in globally, because those people don't have a face. They don't act as the face of the brand. For all of you, it's a little bit even easier, right? Because usually your company's smaller, there's not as many people, but if it's not you that you feel comfortable with, it could be your business partner, it could be someone on your marketing team, but somebody being the face of your brand, what's going to start to happen is there's something called the mere exposure effect in psychology. And what it tells us is that the more often we see something, the more we will report liking it. So it's kind of the same idea, like during political time, people, you'll see posters everywhere, Amy Shapiro for judge, whatever. When you go to the poll, if you don't know any of the candidates, you're more likely to think favorably of the person that you saw their campaign posters everywhere. There's been a lot of research on this. If you hear a song over and over again, you don't like it right away. Eventually you'll like it because you hear it more and more. So having a face for your business is really, really important. And if you're not comfortable on video, we can talk about this, Stacy, too, because I know you've tapped into this. The social media algorithms have found that people prefer faces with content. So you don't even have to even make it a video. It can just be a picture of you doing something in your office, or some sort of photo of people from your team that you share with your content, and you'll find that performs well. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Stacy.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you ended that, Sam, because, video can be intimidating, and I hope we do get a chance to talk about it. But behind the scenes, those types of posts perform really well. Like, here's you, getting a coffee. Here's you in your office, standing in front of your bookshelf. Here's you with your team, just living a normal daily life. Those posts perform really well. It's cool to see what goes on behind the scenes. It's just human nature to be curious and to create that connection. Connection happens in shared human experience. So stories hit and resonate when they touch on something that's a shared human experience. A cup of coffee, hanging out with your colleagues, books, books that you enjoy reading, those are all shared human experience, even though they feel smaller. It doesn't have to be this big, huge thing.
Yes, I love that. So, okay, so once you set up the personal and the business, the other thing I want to make sure that everybody does, again, on any social platform you're on, but choose a really great, I call it A+ headshot, and then make a banner image. So if I go and look at, 90% of you on the call today, you haven't used, in LinkedIn, there is a place right here at the top where you can create a custom banner. It's really easy to do. I've linked the Canva template where you can just for free go in and add one. You might want to put copy up there. So this one, Keith Wilson, has that financial guy spreading a wealth of information. You might want it to be the skyline of where you're located. There's lots of different things you can do here, but I personally think it's great if you say something about, what you're going to be talking about in your content here in your banner image. The other tips, smile in your photo, make sure it actually looks like you. It's not 15 years old. So when somebody meets you in person, they don't recognize that it's you. And also show some teeth in your picture, because that has proven that people find people who show teeth to be more likable. So you want to have a little bit of teeth in your smile.
That's so good. Those are great tips.
So again, I promise some tactical, helpful things. So let's talk about a headline though. So whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, at the top of the page under your profile, you have a little section, right? Where you can basically give quick takeaways where somebody who's never heard of you before, but stumbles upon you, can learn who you are, what you do, who you do it for. So you'll see different advice on kind of what you should put here. A lot of you probably just have something like financial advisor, right? It would be a lot more helpful to be more specific about who you specifically serve and what kind of value you bring to the table. So financial advisor for physicians in Philadelphia, helping you reduce debt and save for retirement, right? That is a lot more specific than just financial advisor. So you want to think about when you're writing this, how you can articulate your unique value. And I've put a couple different options here just as examples to show you that for some of you, it might almost look like bullet points with just like a line or an emoji separating. For others, it might be one sentence. There's no just one right way, but say something more than your title is the takeaway here. And Stacy, we're going to show yours in a little bit.
Okay, fun. I'm high five. I feel like I'm a bobblehead as you're talking. I'm just over here like, yes.
And this would be a great time to say, if you're listening in and you're up for some constructive feedback, this is not just like criticism hour, but you're like, I would love to know how Stacy or Sam think I should write my LinkedIn headline. Drop your URL for your LinkedIn page in the chat, or actually maybe put it in the Q&A. And we're going to look for some guinea pigs here to let us pull up their page live, and we will take a look. And we already have somebody. I love it.
Yay,
You
I
guys
love
are
you.
not
You're
afraid.
also brave. That's
Yes.
awesome.
And we will pull up some and take a look at them towards the end here. And we're going to not just look at your headline, but a few things and give some feedback. Wow, we're getting a ton.
Oh, that's
So
fun.
we will do a few, and I'm sorry if we don't get to everybody. Maybe we can do like a fun follow-up where we'll send some more info to anybody who, sends us their LinkedIn. But
yeah,
a few other things you can think about, just again, really quickly, I put these in the slides since you're going to get these as take home. From an SEO perspective, if someone is Googling you, it is really important for your own LinkedIn to be one of the top things in the Google results because you own that page. So you can personalize your LinkedIn so that if you signed up years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it would say like Samantha Russell / and then it would be a bunch of numbers and letters. You can personalize your LinkedIn actual URL so that from an SEO perspective, it's better. So I just put the link there to do that for anybody who's never done that before. And then the last one, Stacy, I wanted you to talk about this.
Yes. Oh, this is good.
I see so many people, and I know you do too, who their bio on their website, the summary of their LinkedIn page is written more like an obituary, like they're dead, right? Samantha is the chief evangelist at FMG. She's got 3 kids. She went to Miami University. It's like I'm dead and somebody's talking.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So we both are on the same page with writing this more like a story. So do you want to talk a little bit about what your take is on this?
Yes, I love this. Thank you. So funny and so true. So you hit on a big one here, which is write it in the first person. Just that one change will have a huge impact on the connection that about section is going to create. The other thing to think about when you tell a story is, this for every paragraph, if you look at Sam's here, every paragraph's job is to get you to read the next paragraph. So commonly known as a hook on the very first section, right? So that first paragraph is really important. And you can see what Samantha does well here is she's talking about who she helps. And she's saying it in such a way that it attracts them to want to read the rest. So really just look at sorry, Sam, I'm totally putting on blast here, but it's just so good. I mean, it's talking about who she helps, the problem that they have, and the result she helps them get. Very, very short and sweet. And then she kind of unpacks it with like, okay, if you're the hero that I'm serving and I'm your guide, let me tell you about me as the guide and why you should choose me. And that framework of hero and guide, that's right out of the movies. That's right out of all the best books. You can see what she does, how it switches gears in paragraph 2. Sorry, I'm literally pointing at my laptop, which doesn't help you at all. Paragraph 2, she starts to say, here's why I am the guide for you. And then you tell about you, why you have that experience. And she's weaving in things that are both professional and also about her, right? That, hey, I do work at FMG, but I did start a business. And so, tell your story, but start it with who you serve. I think that's a great framework for this about section.
Love it. And don't forget to turn on the featured section. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is pull up while we're talking about these things, since this is the end of this section. Some people have put in their LinkedIn pages. So I'm just going to kind of go live here. If you look through the chat, though, one of the things you'll notice, if you look at everybody who shared theirs, a lot of you just have your name, which is great. But some of you have your name and then a bunch of alphanumeric characters and numbers after your name. So let's kind of go live and look at that. I just clicked on the first one I saw. So can you see this? Okay. Can you see Ryan's page here?
Yeah. Yep. And
So if you look at Ryan, Ryan, you've got your image at the top. Good job. So you have a nice banner image, but you see up here where it says Ryan Canfield, and then it has like these weird numbers and letters. that's what that link I shared before will help you remove. And again, just from an SEO perspective, it allows people to find you a little bit easier. So that's what I was talking about. If you click on your name and it's not just your name, it has all that other good stuff. So we'll click on mine here. You can see mine's just my name. That's what you want it to be. So that would be when you would use the link to change it. And now let's talk about that featured section. I'm going to pull yours up, Stacy, though, because I love your.
Mine's not. Yeah, okay.
So
my introvert starts showing.
So Stacy on her page here, so you can see featured, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you can do with your featured section, and maybe you can talk about how you chose which ones you would put here, is that when you're on LinkedIn, it will give you the option to make any posts that you've already shared a featured part of your site. And I'll show everybody how to do that. Maybe why don't you tell us which ones you chose
sure.
and why
So
first.
The first one is a great example. So I recently launched a podcast, and I wanted to let people know that it was, coming soon. And I wanted to encourage them to follow along. I wanted them to know what it was going to be about, who it was for, how it was going to help. And so I did a post that captured all of that. The challenge would have been, if I had posted it and then let it just be in my feed, it's just going to disappear. So because this was something I really wanted people to continue to see, I put it as the first featured thing, featured post in that section. And you have the option to put a bunch of different things. The next one for me is really my backstory. So again, it's like, yes, here's who I serve. Let me tell you more about me. It's a little bit more expanded version of the snippet I told you all at the outset of the webinar.
I love that soccer ball under your high heel.
Yes, and the soccer plays a big part. So it's a chance for you can pick which pieces to highlight if you're launching something new, if you're doing a rebrand, a new website, if you've got something like a piece of content that you want to give that's super helpful, that's something that you could put in the featured section. And
so, because I know all of you want to, I can't show it on your page, so I'm going to show it on mine. If you go on your page or on, your name right here, you're going to scroll down and they'll say featured. And then you just click this little plus button. If you have a newsletter you want to send people to and collect email signups, you can do that. Let's say that was what it was. You can click, well, I don't have one newsletter, so it's not there. But let's say I had a link to my YouTube channel. I could just stick the link there and that will be highlighted. Yeah. Stacy and I both have highlighted specific posts just because that makes the most sense, I think, on LinkedIn. But again, it's up to you. So let me just show you how you could do it though. If I right here have this post on a podcast I was just on, and I wanted this to be on my featured section, I would click these three dots up here and then see where it says feature on top of profile. You're just going to click that. And now that is going to be on my featured section. When I come back down here, there it is. If I decide, oh, wait, I actually don't want that up there, I want to remove it, I just come here and click that little button. And now I can say remove from featured and it's gone. Simple as that. We find though that most people do not utilize this featured section. And again, it's really a way for you to bring to the top of the page when somebody's looking you up, like the most important things you would want somebody to know. So hopefully that's helpful to all of you as you're watching this. Anything else you want to share about that, Stacy? I'm going to pull back up.
I think that was great.
Here.
You can also reorder it. So when Sam went to the edit, the little pencil or pen icon, you can then reorder those posts as well.
All right. So now that we've talked about like your profile and what you should put there, let's talk about engagement, because I would say arguably more important than even what you post, what your profile says, anything else is how you show up and interact with other people. So I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Oh my
Stacey,
gosh, are you
have
kidding
this?
me? That is, so look, if you had one thing to do on social media, it's not create content, in my opinion. Not at all. I actually think that you could have an entire content strategy just to baby step in where you get active. If you need like a baby step, get active by reading other people's posts, commenting, because when you do that, you know what it does? Everybody who follows that person sees you, right? If they've engaged with that post, they see your comment. And it creates a conversation. And I think that's what I love about this quote, which is, social media is not about, look at me. Let me post this. Look at me. Like, it's not like post and ghost. That's totally defeats the purpose. So it's a conversation. It's a dialogue. And I love this one. It's a telephone, not a television. I think that is great. So absolutely, if you're not engaging, if you're just creating content, posting it and wondering why it's not working, this is why.
And there is a little rule I like to give you all, because you're all numbers people for the most part, which is the 80-20 rule. I think it's very, very doable. So every single time you post something, you want to make sure that same day, hopefully before you even leave your post, that you're commenting on at least 5 other people's posts. I've been saying this for years. The number's probably more like 10 now, but if you're just getting started, 5 is better than nothing. And if you do this, if you really wake up every day and you're like, okay, I have something that's going to go on Facebook today, or I have something that's going to go on LinkedIn, but I got to leave my 5 comments first, you will be blown away at what starts to happen, which is reciprocity. The people who you keep commenting on, they're now going to see your posts, that way the algorithm works in their feeds, and they're going to be more likely to leave a comment on your post. And you might say, well, who the hell cares, Sam? What do I care about these comments for? Comments are the currency of social media. When you give a comment and you get a comment, that's how we're exchanging relevancy here. And that's what's telling the algorithm, this is somebody who other people should see their content. So you want to get them as many comments as you can. A like is okay, but the comments are where it's at. The comments are what makes a huge difference. So again, if you do nothing else when you leave here today, this should be the one thing that you remember, which is you need to start leaving more comments and being more engaging if you want the same in return on your post, right? You'll see accounts out there, they post every day and nobody leaves a comment. And it's not because their content is bad. It's because they're not doing the same thing that they want other people to do for them.
I love that. And it's, if anyone's read Robert Cialdini's book, I don't know which one as well. It's just basically his principles of influence. And I think it's in all his books. But one of them is reciprocity, Sam. And I love that you shouted that out, showing up and supporting people, and then they support you back. And by the way, isn't that how friendships start?
Yes.
Isn't it? Like, you comment on someone's, they comment on yours, they make you laugh, haha, you comment on theirs. And the next thing you know, you've got like a new bestie on LinkedIn. I mean, that's how Samantha and I got to know each other.
I was just going to say, yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. So if you want to hold yourself accountable, you can actually check to see how you're doing you go to your page, and up at the top here, you'll have all your activity, your articles, your posts, any documents, and you can kind of look and see, okay, so Stacy left a comment on this one, right? She celebrated it. She replied to a comment. You can see that it's not just Stacy posted this, Stacy posted this, Stacy posted this, which is typically what I see when people ask me to audit their profile. It's just what they've posted. That's it.
It's 100% right. And I love the idea of making yourself sort of like put in the ante before you post. That currency idea, like, before I post, I have to do my 10 comments. Like, I think that works for a lot of us who are sort of like list checkers, right? Yes. Like, oh, I got to do my 10 comments. And before you know it, it won't be like, oh, I got to do my 10. You'll just automatically do that because you'll be looking for those people's posts. You'll be waiting to see what they're going to say. And Sam, you'll notice them if they're not there, right?
That's 100% true. So I was just telling Stacy before we came on that I felt like a little bit of a fraud doing this webinar today because I've been on this self-imposed social media break, and you can see my numbers, they are down because I haven't been here, but that's okay. We can do that sometimes. But one of the lovely things has been people messaging me saying, are you okay? I noticed I haven't seen any of your content in like 2 weeks. The fact that people who I've never met before notice when I'm not there posting goes to show the power of this reciprocity.
100%.
A question that I've heard a lot from advisors, Stacy, I'd love to get your take on it. So when you show up in the morning, whenever you're doing your commenting and you start scrolling through the feed, how do you decide? Oh, there's a shout out for your great podcast. How do you decide what to post? Yeah, you got the same jacket on. How do you decide what to like who to comment on?
Yeah.
Go and say like, oh, Aaron Klein from Riskalyze, like I want him to notice me. So I'm going to go look at what he's posting. If he has something relevant, I'm going to post because I hope to do a business with Riskalyze. Or are you saying like, I'm just going to look through my feed? How do you do it?
I love that question. And I would recommend to have some intention around it. If there's someone that you do want to do business with, if there's somebody you admire, if there's someone you want to have on your podcast, if there's somebody who's influential in the industry that you serve, those are all great places to kind of look and see, who can I connect with? So you might already know. If you don't know, and this is for another day, but you can actually, do some searches in Sales Navigator if you use it to actually see who's active on LinkedIn. So that'll be webinar 2.0.
2.0. If you're here for the 2.0 with me and Stacy, we are just running out of time. Tell us, we'll do another one.
So I would have intention around it. I would definitely do that. I actually have a little folder. So Sam, where you have like reading and tweets, I have a folder on my toolbar that's a link to the pages of the people that I comment on most frequently. So I go right into that folder and I go right down the list of all the people that I want to, engage with and comment on their posts.
That is so genius. So what she's talking about up here in the bookmarks,
you
can just kind of have a little handy dandy spot where you go through. I think one of the things that's great too is I sometimes will go, so I showed everybody how you can do this for others, not just yourself. So let's say I'm like, Stacy knows great people. I want to tap more into Stacy's network. I can go down to her page and click on show all activity. And then I can start seeing things that you're paying attention to that people I'm not connected to, right? So let me just find one example here. We have so much crossover right now, but here's one. So you left a comment on this post. She's a second degree connection of mine. I don't know this woman, but I might start saying like, I want to tap into some of Stacy's connections. So I could go and leave a comment on this post. And now it's like, hey, it's basically telling this person, hey, pay attention to me. I'm Samantha Russell. Yeah. She's going to say, who's Samantha Russell? I'm not connected to this person, and is likely then to go over and click on my page. That makes a massive, massive difference. So again, being intentional, not just leaving comments on the people you already are connected with, but I always say, if you've never commented on a stranger's post before, you're doing social media wrong. The whole point is to be building your network, right? So find people you don't yet know and leave a comment.
Love that.
All right. We are just cruising and cruising. So I'm going to go straight. I'm going to skip over a couple slides because of time. Actually, let's just show this one really fast because it's so good. There is this misconception out there that financial services content is boring and nobody's going to ever leave a comment on your content if you just post about financial topics. And so I just had to call this one out from Dave Lowe's, the CFP, who posted this and got 766 comments. Mind-blowing, right? And he's basically just talking about a case study he had where he helped a particular client, increase their net worth, reduce taxes, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to get the case study? So I just want to point out that when you write content in a way that's like interesting, compelling, when you find your right audience, you never know sometimes what's going to resonate. You got to keep putting it out there and start to kind of pay attention to patterns. But just because it's financial content does not mean that people are not going to pay attention to it.
This is such a great example too, because if you're like me and you're just reading Dave's amazing post here, what a fabulous idea. I'm not saying you copy exactly what he's done, but could you do something like this for your target market, for the problems that they have for which you are the guide? I think this is a brilliant framework.
Yes, 100%. Okay. So many, I saw some questions coming in and they were asking us, Stacy, somebody actually specifically in the Q&A wanted your thoughts being in this industry, serving advisors. Are you actually getting people? This was the question. Let me just read it for everyone to hear. This is from Brett. He said, have you ever had a prospect or someone you coach come in and say, I see all your posts on social media, so I figured I would just call you for a meeting? In other words, does social media actually drive prospects to your door? Or should it just be viewed as a way to continue to build your brand awareness?
Oh, what a question. So yes, 100% the scenario, the story you just told about, does anybody call and say, I follow you on social media and I figured I would just reach out? Does that happen? Multiple times a day, no joke. And people that like, I'm blown away by the people that social media has brought into my life and into my business. And it's such a leap of faith to trust that. But I'm telling you, it's not just about like, oh, it's a nice to have and I should be there. And it's like a calling card, like you got to have a website kind of thing. It's not like that. People will, and we're going to look at some really cool stats, but people follow you even when they're not commenting and liking. Don't underestimate who's watching, and they'll show up and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so out of the blue. And then they'll say, no, I've been following you for however long. And you'll be blown away.
When we started 20 over 10, nobody knew us. We didn't have a ton of credibility. And so the way I saw it was I need to prove credibility by like picking the hood up and showing people, this is the strategy that I'm using. And this is what I would use for you if you worked with us, if your advisory firm hired our company to help you. And so I would basically give away all my best tips. And then people would call me and say, so for the last year, I've been reading everything you posted. I've been trying it out on my own. It's working. So now I'm ready to outsource it because it's getting to be too much, right? To your point, I never had heard of this person, didn't know they were following along, knew nothing. And so I think this begs the question, though, which a lot of people have, which is how do you attribute success to this, especially if it can take a little while? How do you know if it's working or not? So I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Stacy.
So this, if you don't follow Chris Walker from Refine Labs, he's a great follow on LinkedIn, especially for those of us who geek out on stats, which is like everyone in our industry. So, okay, so this is one of my favorite slides that he shows, which basically in a nutshell says, if you try to attribute all of your leads using some kind of software, you're going to get these green bars. It's going to, the software doesn't know. So it just says, oh, it's web search. But if you ask people, here's like the biggest tech hack of the day, which is a total non-tech hack. You want to know how you get the attribution? You ask. You ask them on a form. You put a line that's mandatory that says, how did you hear about us? If they call you, you say, how did you hear about me? Or whatever. You ask them. When they self-report, the attribution looks much different. Look at this. Social media, podcast, word of mouth. That's actually what the software is telling you is web search. So not true. This is the power of dark social. These are your shadow fans right here.
I think you said that so well. And just to prove this isn't just, to have an actual substantive example here. This is Derek Notman. He and I have done a presentation together before. And so this slide's from that. And he basically in that presentation was talking about that exact thing, that this is an email he's got. Somebody said, I found you via Google search, then did a little LinkedIn trolling, then was listening to your episode of this podcast. I believe I fit your target profile fairly well and, want to talk with you sometime, right? So it wasn't just, hey, I followed you on social media, I'm ready for a chat. Or, hey, I Googled somebody who works with your executives at high-tech companies, advisors that serve these folks. It was a lot of different things culminating in one. And the reason that I think social media is just so powerful is because it is the reminder. right? Like dealing with your finances and, finally saying, okay, yes, I need to sit down. We need to get organized, finally getting your partner, your significant other on the same page, finding the time to do it. Money's emotional. Money has a lot of baggage tied to it. People put it off. So when the time finally comes that they're ready to do it, they're thinking about like, who do I already know that can help me with this problem? They want to go to the people that have been there, that they've seen over and over. And social media serves to be that reminder.
I love that. And what I also love about what you said there, Sam, is this idea of what do you want to be known for? What do people say about you when you're not in the room? If you can get some intention around that and show up like that on LinkedIn, then think about how this is going to even work in referrals. Then when somebody says, oh, I need an expert in that thing that you've already said, that's my expertise and I want to be known for that, the connection is almost instantaneous. So if someone in our biz said, oh, I really feel like my story sucks. I don't know if I can say that in an FMG webinar. Sorry about that.
Sucks is fine.
Okay. Then they'd be like, oh, you gotta follow Stacy or you gotta call Stacy, right? So think about that. What do you want to be known for? And
I love that.
Be one of your content pillars.
And this is a great segue into this example. So we talked a lot about LinkedIn, but just saying this applies to any social platform. So Thomas Kopelman, I've done another webinar with him. If you are interested more in Twitter, go to FMG's YouTube and look at the webinar we did with him recently, where he talked all about his success on Twitter and how he does it. So he specifically works with tech executives, young millennial tech executives. And he is now pulling all of his new business specifically from Twitter, signing up like 10 new households a month via Twitter. And the type of content that he posts there is very specific for this audience. It's for people who are really green when it comes to finances. They're all of a sudden getting a lot of income, but don't have a lot of, necessarily experience or understanding of how tax is going to impact them. And he is just killing it on Twitter because he has figured out that is the platform that's working best. He tried Instagram, he tried LinkedIn. So thinking about where your audience is, what kind of content's going to work best, learning from other people, I think is a great idea in the sense of looking at what other advisors have found works for them, but then thinking about, okay, so here's what, like the technical aspects. Now I get it. Now, to Stacy's point, what do I want to be known for, right? So Stacy helps people, as she said at the top of the hour, she's known for storytelling and helping people with their brand and finding their true fans. And you have built out that niche for yourself and people come to you for that specifically. That is, I always say, and that's why we had that magnet on that slide. If you really want to do this well, you have to be willing to repel. Because you can't attract without repelling. So you're going to have to not be a good fit for some people if you really want to get this right.
That is so true. So true.
So, okay. We want to make sure we have time for some LinkedIn audits. So just really quickly, I wanted to just throw this out there because in a lot of the examples you'll see, whether it was Stacy's long form post or some of the ones we showed, you'll notice that we're not showing you posts that look like this. So this is the old way up until honestly, just 2 years ago, year and a half ago, which was that you would say, I have this great piece of content, not to pick on Barron's, everyone did this. Here's what it's about, and here's the link. And then you would want people to click off the platform to go and read that post or listen to that podcast or whatever, right? The new way is something called zero-click content. And LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter, they want you to stay on their platform as long as possible. So they prioritize showing people content where the gist, of the information, you're going to get it without needing to click off. That is called zero-click content. And there's an example from Thomas of what that looks like in real time. It doesn't mean that you never share a link. It just means that the gist of the information is there in the meat of the post itself. We at FMG have actually started changing all of the social posts we do for advisors, for the most part, to follow this format. And I can even show you some in our app for those of you who are FMG customers wondering about this. But you'll notice they're a little bit longer. Sometimes they have emojis or bullet points. They're easier to scan, and they're not just sending you off the platform. The other thing is, if you remember Stacy and I talking about how comments are so important, it gives people something to comment on, right? Nobody's going to click off the platform, go read your long blog post and then say, oh, I better go back and comment. Most likely they go read it and then they go on with their day. But if you give them the gist of it, they can leave a comment without even actually going to read it.
Yes, I love that. And I think company pages, this is tough. It's that trend of the Barron's example of the link embedded in the post and go off and read it. That is still something that a lot of corporate pages do. And it's a boat that needs to sort of turn with the tide. Yeah. But you can embrace it on your personal page. So again, even if it's like the company's not ready to make the change, you embrace it first and you'll see it work. And then you can be the little case study of, hey, team, let's change up how we're doing content on LinkedIn as a brand. Yeah.
If you go and follow Forbes has really embraced this on Twitter and LinkedIn. They've got like Twitter threads. They have long form LinkedIn posts. Vetify. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Vetify. I did a presentation on zero-click content and their team said, we're going to try this for ourselves. And they messaged me after saying, this has been huge for our engagement. So yeah, it really, really works. And again, I just wanted to say, if you can still share a link. So here's an example on the right from Emily. She does great things with voice marketing. If you're looking to start a podcast or do anything with like voice memos, but you can see, right? So she's still giving the gist of the information away and then sharing the link so that it's something meaty that you can respond to. All right. So now it's time for the fun part, the LinkedIn live audit. So I don't even know how we're going to choose some of these people. Maybe I'll just scroll and click on someone. Did you see anybody? You probably didn't have time to look through either.
No, but I think that would be super fun to just pick someone at random.
Okay, so I just clicked on one of the links I saw, Michelle Vargas. I hope I'm saying your name right. I know we're connected because I've seen you before, Michelle. So thanks for sharing your page. So just a few, things. Again, I love that she's got a nice smiling photo. It's very clear and crisp. I don't know if that's exactly what you look like now, Michelle, but thumbs up for it looking like a great recent photo. Stacy, what's your thoughts with the banners? Like, do you think just having the name of your company, or what else would you suggest people put up there?
I think that's a really, again, sort of low barrier to entry upgrade here. Writing content like your about section is going to be a little bit of a heavier lift, Michelle, but doing something on your banner, I think that would be a nice upgrade. You could get one of those Canva templates, maybe make the logo a little bit smaller, and instead put something about who you serve. Do you serve a certain type of client, an industry? Just maybe if they were going to scan your page, that real estate, you want to hit them right away with like, I am for you. They need to see that you serve them right away. And I think you could do that pretty easily here with your.
I love that tip. And I was thinking the same thing. She could take the Waymaker financial planning, put the logo down here at the bottom right. And then if you look in her about section, thumbs up, you have it written in first person. But she said she helps client with retirement readiness, tax minimization strategies, and wise investment management. There could be like 3 bullet points at the top. That's that, right? So somebody doesn't have to dig into your about to get that. And then if you could go a little deeper, if there is even more specifically a niche you serve. So instead of help clients, if it's, people in San Diego, I don't know, so more specifically, the more specific, the better, basically.
100% agree with that.
She does have some featured things here. One thing I would just also say, if you have a link, you want to make sure that the image with the link is got something there, because this is what the system will put if there is no image for them to pull from social media. So on that page of your website, you just want to go and look at what is the featured image for social sharing. It's a little bit more techie there, but that will help you have a featured image that shows up. All right, let's click on another one. Oh, we did Ryan before. Ryan, you're good. You just put it up in the comments again. He wanted more info. Let's just.
Well, you know why? Sam, he wanted to show us. Look at the numbers are gone.
Oh, Ryan!
Nice job, Ryan.
In real time. And wait, were these Ryan? Were these featured posts there before? Because now I'm not so sure. I feel
Ryan,
like they
did
want
you redo your entire LinkedIn
Tell
profile while
us.
we've been sitting here? Oh my
Tell
gosh,
us.
you really did. No, they were not.
Working session. I love
I
it.
love
We really
it.
wanted this to be useful, and I'm so glad. This is making my whole day.
Me too.
Okay, let's see. Allison. Oh, Allison's got a fun banner image up
hey.
here. So she's got the little hiring symbol, so you can put that up there if you want people to know you've got positions open. Oh, and she even has some extra, I don't have these on mine, little banners that
Yeah.
kind of say different things that you offer. So this one's a little different. You have about Hayden Wealth Management here. I don't know what your thoughts are, Stacy. Even though, yes, you want people to know about your firm, I would still change that to be more about you and put anything about the firm as a whole, kind of write it into a story format. Just because then it's less about I'm selling you this service and more about this is me and what I'm showing up here to offer.
I love that. And I think, Allison, you could, to take that one step further and build on what Sam said there, maybe there's something that before you became a financial advisor, what did you do? And how does that help you as a financial advisor today? And how does that tie to the people you serve? Could you write a little story about that? Like, before I was a financial advisor, I was actually a teacher. And, here's how that helps me. And in fact, I actually, my passion is helping teachers with their finance. That's such a direct line, but the idea is, can you go back into your own story and kind of connect it to where you are now and who you serve and how you help?
I love that. I love that. All right, let's see. We maybe have time for one or two more. I picked this one because I love that it's the real Rob Knapp. So I don't know, there must be other not real Robs out there.
Awesome.
So he has securing family wealth while empowering the next generation with alternative assets, and even a hashtag capturing tomorrow.
That's good.
So Grit Partners is the name of the company, it looks like. And he's not able to go live with us, but he's got these 3 dots there, which is interesting. So it looks like you kind of mocked up your headshot even to have that. I like too, so he has a video message for you. We should talk about that. You can put links in your bio. I don't have this on mine. I don't know. Do you have that on yours, Stacy?
I do. And actually, so that's a great idea. You can do, like, if you have a link tree or something that's a collection of links, you could link to it there. You could link to a certain page on your website, which it looks like that. Oh, hey, look at this. This is like next level, Rob.
So good. So it's just going to his website, which I love, but it's a specific page that tells
the other thing you can do, and I haven't done this, Sam, I don't know if you have, there is a way on the actual profile image to record a little video behind it. Have you done that yet?
I have not, but I've seen people do it and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's another way that you could do the video, is actually right there on your profile image. When someone pushes it, clicks on it, it will open up a little video.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so I want to make sure we have time for questions. We're really coming up at the top of the hour. I feel like we could talk about this forever. Let us know in the comments, did you find this helpful in this format where we're kind of just going back and forth and showing you in real time and giving some takeaways? But let's go through some of the questions that came in, and feel free to add some more if you have any rapid fire ones. Stacy, a question on this. Is it better to build hundreds of connections, right? You could easily connect with a bunch of people, or take time to build your network intentionally. So maybe have less connections, but specifically connect with your clients, centers of influence. Basically, like, is there any detriment to connecting with people that you don't know and you don't even know if they're going to be a benefit, so you just accept the connection?
Oh, yeah. I like the idea. It's a great question. I like the idea of having some intention around your connections and just coming up with a framework for yourself. So you might say, for instance, I'll use myself as an example. So because I serve the financial space and specifically asset managers, if somebody reaches out to connect with me and they're in that space, they work at an investment management firm, they're in the space, I am inclined to accept it. And the second level for me is like, do we have any shared connections? So you can kind of have a framework around incoming connection requests. Don't just accept everyone would be my advice.
Yes.
And then on the
agreed.
flip side, on the other, in the outgoing connections that you want to make, I think it's fine to be intentional about it. Definitely connect with your clients. Definitely connect with your prospects, definitely connect with your friends and colleagues in the industry. Start there. We call that the Founders Network. Like, just go for the people that you already know, send them a nice note with your connection request, and build your connections organically. I don't know how you feel
Every
about
Friday, I look at my calendar, and anyone I met with,
Brilliant.
I send a a connect request to. Gosh, I can't talk. And then anybody that I've been emailing with that I'm like, oh, we're building a relationship, they inquired about something, whatever, I send them a connection request. So it's a really easy way to just not forget about those people. And especially for people, if you're an advisor right now and you're like, oh, I might be interested in what can FMG help me with? So you send me an email and we exchange. You might not be ready to work with us right now, but I send you a connection request. You start seeing all my content. And again, it's going to keep that top of mind, and just also keep showing the value that we can provide. So that's a really easy way to do it too.
Love it.
Before we hang up, one other thing I just wanted to make sure that we have time for. Again, thank you all for all your great questions. If you are currently utilizing FMG, or you aren't, but you're interested, here's our email address if you have questions for our team. And because I did see a couple questions about the way that we write social posts and the length of them and kind of how that helps, since we have a do it for me program where we will actually write your social posts for you so that you can spend more time with the engagement part. If you're interested in learning more about that, there is the email for that. One thing I also just wanted to point out, we have a new integration on our mobile app with ChatGPT. So you can take any article, like a Bloomberg article, it could be Newsweek, whatever. And a lot of you struggle with, what do I say? And how do I say it where I'm doing that 0-click content way, where I'm giving the information? You can ask ChatGPT to write it for you, and then you can edit it. So yes, we still want you to edit it and make it your own, but I think it's a lot easier for a lot of you who are not a poet like Stacy or writing all the time like me, to have a blank version, not a blank version, have something pre-written you can then red pen. So if you don't have the mobile app, but you're an FMG customer, I wanted to point that out to you. Stacy, are there any questions you saw come in that you wanted to answer, or anything? If somebody wants to work with you or learn more about you.
Oh gosh, if you want to follow along with us and with me, LinkedIn is my platform. Like I said, I'm still kind of afraid of Twitter. So find me on LinkedIn. I'm horrible with the DMs. Horrible. That's a black hole for me. So send me an email, stacy@havenercapital.com. I would love to continue this conversation over on LinkedIn.
And you are the real deal. So if you talk to Stacy off today, she's exactly the same as she is.
Yeah.
So you'll feel like you know her now, 100%.
Yes, that's right.
And a couple, let's see, I think we're all out of time for questions. I want to be cognizant of your time. So thank you for staying 2 minutes over, Stacy. And thank you all for joining us today. If we didn't get to your question, our team will respond via email as a follow-up, and we appreciate you all so much. Until next time.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sam and FMG. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.